know you look the other way. I know you long for something new, so that you're wasting all your days looking for something that is right in front of you. And I just want them to notice you. And I'll never let go of you. There's something flying in the air, and I just don't know what it could be. The smoke is flying everywhere. I'm getting the feeling it's the end for you and me. And
This is a video and message that I feel is long overdue. For those of you who don't know, I served 6 years active duty in the United States Army. I enlisted immediately after high school in 2003. A big part of the decision that went into joining the Army was my family legacy, but more importantly, my father. My dad was my best friend. He was my confidant. He was a veteran himself. Before I even knew what it meant, he was my sergeant. My father and I growing up were very close. He truly was one of the most loving, generous people I have ever met and have yet to meet in this life. And I idolized him. I knew that he was someone that was put on this earth to do good and was an exemplary model for me for the life that I wanted to live, the family that I wanted to have, and just the impact I wanted to make on my short time here on earth. And the reason I give you this backstory is because that is what stung the most when we lost him. Growing up my childhood and even now, as many of you have gotten to know me, I am a very happy-go-lucky, outgoing person. I try to be as optimistic as possible, but the point of this video is to share with you that that is only because I have done the work necessary over a long period of time to be able to look at things, whether they are successes or failures, good times or the bad, through the lens of how does this serve me? What can I get out of this and how can I pay it forward? What good is this showing me? What good is this showing the world? And that is exactly the overarching message for what I tried to do in everything in my life today, as well as my family. So when we found out that my father in 2003 was diagnosed with a terminal illness, Lou Gehrig's disease, also known as ALS, it shook my world. To say that it hurt is the most severe understatement of a lifetime. I tried to get out of the military. I was in denial. I was screaming out loud, and more importantly, I was screaming inside, and I didn't know what it really meant, and I didn't know, more importantly, how to get it out. I didn't know with whom I needed to talk. I was talking to anybody and everybody when it was convenient for me, but I didn't do the work necessary at the time. And so I had to drive on. I had to continue my time in the military after he passed away in 2005. Really, this is the point of this whole story here that I want to share with you. The message, the story that I have begun to share more and more as of late, but I wanted to just convey it all at once. In my line of work now, I'm in the health and fitness profession. I live to serve others. My work is to serve others and help them become better, stronger versions of themselves through a myriad of different approaches, under all things in the umbrella of wellness. But one area that I think I certainly neglected for a long time, and that I think a lot of people do this day and age, is the mindset, right? The mental health aspect. And a big part of that is because I feel like it is something we don't know how to properly process. We don't know how to interpret it. We don't know, therefore, how to translate it. And we don't know how to share that with the people that need to hear it, the people that we need to let into our life, the people that can probably help us the most, because we're scared, because we don't know what it means. We don't know if this is gonna change our life. We don't know if this is gonna alter our relationships, if people are gonna think less of us. And a lot of us live and suffer in silence. And that is certainly what I did for a long time. During my process, my grieving process, I got to a point where I didn't really care if I lived or died. I never got serious enough that I was contemplating suicide, but I truly didn't care if I woke up the next day or not. Looking back, yes, I know these are very selfish things, but grief is a very interesting process. And so I knew I wasn't going to take my life, and I knew that wasn't an option, but I was looking for ways to basically not come home. And at the time I was still active duty. I tried twice to volunteer for deployments that I knew I would give my all and I would serve with valor, hopefully, and with honor. But if I came home in a box, wrapped in a flag, that was my easy way out, because I didn't know how to ask for help. I would go back and forth between talking to friends, family, other people in my life, professionals, in and out of professional help, because it was just so overwhelming. It was so overbearing. I was treated and seen for mild PTSD, because every time I would go back home before my father passed away, he was just worse and worse and worse. And the vision of my father began to become so terrifying to me that it completely pushed every other memory, good, pleasant, whatever, out of my head. And I could not think of him. I could not think of that situation without immediately being taken back to that situation, to see him suffering, and certainly the day of the funeral, and to just watch him be lowered into the ground after a group of soldiers gave him the proper military burial he deserved. That shook me to my core. And for years, going in and out of professional therapy, of psychiatrists, psychologists, free consultations, friends, trying to do my own work, it just got so overwhelming. I would have panic attacks, and I would legit hyperventilate. I couldn't even watch a hospital scene in a movie without having to remove myself from the situation, if I even made it that far. So many times my wife now helped me through this process of just talking about a holiday, seeing a movie where someone dies, just taking me back to that scene. There's a difference between painful memories and post-traumatic stress. Your body, your mind can't tell the difference, and I couldn't tell the difference of what was real, what wasn't. I couldn't just have a memory. It was a feeling. It was a visceral feeling, and it began to creep into a lot of areas in my life. And so, going back to the deployment situation, not caring if I lived or died, because the pain was so, at that time, I thought unbearable. I volunteered twice. Twice it fell through. It just wasn't in the cards. The second time, in fact, it not only just fell through, I wound up suffering such severe injuries that I wound up getting medically discharged, medically retired out of the military. Maybe that was my dad trying to wake my ass up again one more time. But through it all, through me not caring if I woke up the next day, through me contemplating what it would be like if I wasn't around for my family, and that not shaking me enough, that not being enough for me to get the help that I needed. I spent, from the time he passed away to the time that I feel confident now that I worked through it, the better part of a decade. And I recognize now that that was such a detrimental act on my part. So many of my relationships suffered. So much of this just stayed bottled up, and I regret not getting help sooner. I felt like maybe at the time, veterans going through that process, going to the mental health ward, seeing a psychologist or whatever, it was frowned upon. It didn't have a good stigma attached to it. And so I just put it on the back burner. And it was only through getting it all out, feeling everything that I needed to feel, sharing everything I needed to share with the people most important in my life, that I finally got through it, that I could no longer be transported back in time to that suffering and that pain. And I have to say that all of that process, me wanting to be deployed, to not come home alive, me going through all of that suffering, definitely put me on the path, and I'm so grateful for where I am now in life. And to this day still, I get messaged, email, DM all the time from people, civilians and soldiers alike, who are suffering in silence, who see me, this side of me now that's just so happy and optimistic, and they're like, Chase, how do I find the motivation? How did you get through the military? How did you get through this loss of your father? And I am becoming more and more open and vulnerable to share that I had to go through this dark time. And that to anyone questioning their existence, anyone maybe listening, you're in my shoes and you're seeking that deployment, you're seeking that opportunity to not wake up tomorrow, to not come home. If any of that crosses your mind, please go get professional help immediately. As of today, by the time you're watching this video, one of the reasons why I made this video is because I had this phone call earlier that was just a catalyst, like, Chase, you need to make this video, was that we're partnering with an organization that is going to allow to literally put professional help in your pocket. So I would encourage you to use those services. All of it will be linked down in the box below, but please do not suffer in silence anymore. Military, civilian alike, whatever you are going through that you think is just so overwhelming, so overbearing, I promise you it is not. There are people out here, me, anyone that you can talk to. Please don't let that fear stop you from pushing through this obstacle. This is not an obstacle in front of you to block you from your future. This is an obstacle in front of you to show you the skill set you need to develop, to show you the person you need to become to go through that. Let the obstacle be your way. And don't be like me, and don't suffer in silence, and don't put it on the back burner. I spent, like I said, the better part of a decade going in and out of help, treated for mild PTSD. Now, I recognize that I came out on the other side of my military career much better off, in a much better place. A lot of my brothers and sisters who developed severe traumatic PTSD from being over there, as we call it. And so I consider myself very grateful that I came out on the other side alive, with all my limbs and healthy. I still went through my injuries and whatnot, but I have so much to be thankful for. And the military, and certainly these organizations that we have worked with now, they are here to help. And so to wrap this up, my whole point here is that the version you see of me now is only because I went through all of that before. Should I have gone and sought help quicker? Absolutely. The main point I want you all to know is that I didn't just wake up like this, okay? People that you see that are so happy and optimistic and outgoing, odds are they didn't just wake up like that, okay? We all go through things, and it's the things that we usually keep from outsiders, people that we keep from our loved ones, that cause us the most pain. And unfortunately, when I see and hear people who take their own life or leave this world too soon, you always want to ask yourself, well, what could we have done? And I think one thing we can do now is to just reach out and communicate and share our struggles. So, just to let people know that this life isn't easy. No one has it easy, I promise you. We all have trials and tribulations. And personally, for me, when it got to a point to where I wanted to put myself in harm's way, because I didn't care anymore. To not be able to go to a funeral, to not be able to watch a movie, to not be able to talk about death, to not be able to go into a hospital room without completely breaking down and being transported back to the most painful time of my life is an experience I hope no one has to go through, but a lot of us do. And so to that, I just want to let you all know that that is one of the things that I have not shared openly on my platforms, on here or anywhere else. But truly, that is what I went through. Those were my obstacles. Those were the things that have put me in a place now to be more grateful, to be more outgoing, and to be so thankful for the people that are put in our lives to help us. So please, please, please do not suffer in silence anymore. Talk to someone, anyone. There are so many professional resources that you can contact to seek out, to just vent, to get things out, and just to stop keeping it from being inside you. Because personally speaking, I did that for a long time, and it did not help me in a lot of ways. And so to anyone watching this, other people in my life that that probably translated into our relationship or was a problem, I sincerely apologize. And I now know, gotten a little bit older, have a little bit more wisdom, but I now know that getting it out and sharing, that is the best way to heal. And so again, thank you for watching this video. Thank you all for being a part of my journey thus far. Thank you for supporting everything that me and my family do, with everything that we stand for at Everforward. It truly has been because of those hard times and the suffering that we went through. But it's easy to look at people on the outside and just make assumptions. And so I just wanted to get that story out. I wanted to share with you my suffering and my mental health experiences and the things that helped me get through it the most. So if you're like me, don't be like me. Get it out, find help, okay? Thank you all so much for watching. If you have any questions, again, a lot of information down in the comments section below. And just don't keep it to yourself. Thank you, and ever forward.